I recently asked you guys for your Facebook ads questions and you sent me a ton.
Hey yo, what the?
Thank you very much for doing that. In this video, I'm going to try and answer as many of those questions as I possibly can. If you're looking to get better results from your Facebook ads and Instagram ads, I think you're going to find this video very valuable. Let's get started with a question from Chris, who asks, what ad objectives are you supposed to use at every step of the funnel? Now, I wanted to start with this question because it's an interesting one. It has a bunch of assumptions in it that are just quite frankly false, but I think a lot of people will be thinking that you need different ad objectives because you need to start with a traffic campaign and then retarget with a conversions campaign or whatever. And that's not how you're supposed to run Facebook ads at all. First, you need to choose the strategy you're going to use, whether it's direct to offer campaigns, omnipresent content campaigns, and then you select the ad objective depending on that strategy, not depending on steps of the funnel as if there's a one-size-fits-all approach. So if we're using direct to offer, directly advertising our products or services, we're going to use sales or leads. Very simple. If we're using something like the omnipresent content strategy, we're going to use reach. The next question is from Nicolesh, who asks, I followed your advice on CBO campaigns, but they seem to have gone into learning limited. What should I do? Now, the first thing is to not panic. Your ad sets won't exit the learning phase or are unlikely to exit the learning phase if you don't generate more than 50 conversions per week, but that's not a problem. We have campaigns perform perfectly well in the learning phase in Learning Limited. What Meta will often try and convince you to do is to spend more money to get out of the learning phase, telling you that your campaign will then fully optimize. But if you increase your budget to get out of the learning phase, not for other reasons, i.e. your campaigns are profitable and you want to scale, you are likely to see worsening performance. You'll see your cost per conversion go up, which is absolutely not something you want to do. So don't scale just to get out of Learning Limited. Operate with your campaigns as they are, go through the exact same processes of optimization, trying to test audiences, ads, things like that. Once it's profitable and delivering great results, then you should look to scale. So basically, don't worry about it, carry on as usual. Next question. Is working with a Facebook rep a good idea? I'm a few weeks in with one and not getting much better results, even though he has persuaded me to increase my budget. Now, this is a great question and it really encapsulates the problem with working with the Facebook reps. A, they often don't know what they're talking about. You can tell when you speak to them that they've had a couple of weeks training and they've been told a few pointers to give every single advertiser, whether they apply to your specific circumstances or not, and the advice they give is pretty bad. I've done lots of these calls where I sort of play dumb, act like I don't know what I'm talking about, and the stuff they tell you is just not good advice. Secondly, they are working for Meta, and they are going to try and convince you as an advertiser to spend more money.
Well, you gotta spend money to make money.
But you didn't make any money.
Just like I mentioned answering the previous question with Learning Limited, if you're in that scenario, they're gonna say, increase your budget. It's amazing how many of the problems that you might find within a Facebook ad account, a Facebook rep will tell you you can solve by simply spending more. That's just not true. As I've already said, you're likely to see worsening results, not better. And that's exactly what's happened here, right? This person has been convinced to increase their budget, results aren't any better. So I would basically completely discount the advice you get from Facebook reps. If you're a complete beginner, yes, they're gonna have some pointers, but honestly, you're gonna find much better information from my YouTube channel or many other Facebook ad experts out there that put out free content who are actually experts in the space, not someone who got a job at Meta 3 weeks ago, who's gone through a crash course of training and has a few pointers. They're gonna give absolutely everything.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal.
The next question is from Agnes, who asks, I tried open targeting and engaged shopper behavior, but it has provided a terrible CPM. I'm wondering if it's better to try targeting without engaged shoppers and if open targeting takes longer to show results compared to interest targeting. So we've got a few things in there, but I thought it was a really good question to answer. So I tried open targeting and engaged shopper behavior. It's provided a terrible CPM. CPM is cost per 1,000 impressions. Basically, what she's saying there is that the cost of advertising to this audience is particularly high. And that kind of makes sense, right? You are targeting engaged shoppers. You're targeting a more valuable audience. Other advertisers are competing for the same people. I would expect you to spend more. Whenever you are looking at an audience though, I would ignore CPM and focus on the thing that actually matters, which is going to be your cost per sale, your cost per lead, whatever it is you're optimizing for. It doesn't matter if you pay a $200 CPM if your cost per conversion is lower than paying a $10 CPM for, say, a different campaign objective or a different target audience. So I basically ignore CPM unless there's something really weird going on, and we focus on our cost per conversion. She's also asked, I'm wondering if it's better to try targeting without engaged shoppers. If you've ever got a question like that, just test it. Run one ad set with people who are engaged shoppers and run one ad set without people who are engaged shoppers and see what the results are. Very quick and easy to find that out. And she also says, does open targeting take longer to show results compared to interest targeting? And honestly, the answer is usually yes. When you go open targeting, no targeting criteria, it's going to take Meta a bit of time to work out who to put your ads in front of. That's a bit of a more difficult process than if you've already narrowed the field down to something more specific. Now, of course, open targeting can perform really well, and once an ad account has more conversion data, it often performs best amongst the cold audience targeting options, but at the beginning, it can take a bit of time to get going. So I do think it's worth giving open targeting a bit longer than you would with, say, some other detailed targeting options, but that's just something to watch out for. Agnes also asked another question where she says, I have been switching campaigns on and off every 3 to 7 days based on performance. Is this okay? Will it impact ad performance? So that sort of thing is not ideal. Some businesses will need to have something like that set up. Let's say you know that unless you call your prospects within an hour or a couple of hours of them becoming a lead, they're very unlikely to go ahead. In which case you only want to be running ads when you are open for business, most likely, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Okay, so fine, you're gonna have to switch ads on and off depending on time of day and days of the week. If you don't have a constraint like that, I'd much rather you left your campaigns running longer, more consistently. If you want to reduce overall ad spend, you can, but that consistency does help with Meta's optimization process of the campaigns. It also seems to help from an advertiser standpoint in terms of being able to assess the results. If you're constantly chopping and changing and turning things on and off, and you look back at historical data, were we doing better those 2 weeks or those 2 weeks? Oh, but hang on, it was off for part of that, but not off for part of this. It becomes all a little bit messy. You also have to think about how Meta is planning to put your ads in front of your prospects over time. So on average, the people that convert won't be shown your ad once. They'll be showing your ad multiple times, usually over quite a small window. So Meta might be planning to show a certain person your ad on Monday, twice on Tuesday, once on Wednesday, assuming that person's on Facebook and Instagram during those times, something like that. If you all of a sudden turn your ad off on Tuesday, you don't get that final impression of that ad, and maybe you don't get the conversion as a result. So if you can, I prefer to keep things consistent. So changing tack a little bit here, Matthew asks, do you think Facebook groups are going to continue to be relevant and thrive medium to long term? Now, those of you who've been following my content will know that I'm a big fan of Facebook groups. I have a Facebook group with over 180,000 members. It's the biggest in the world, specifically for Facebook advertisers. And if you want to join, it's called the Facebook Ads Mastermind Group. You can go ahead and find it. And it's been really valuable for my business. We've built an amazing community, and we use that group to generate leads and generate clients for our agency, to generate call sales, all that sort of stuff that we're looking to do as a business. What's going to happen to groups medium to long term? Long term, it's very difficult to say. Facebook could just make a decision to downgrade groups overnight. And we've seen things like that happen in the past. Do I think that's likely? No, not at all. As Facebook removed organic reach from regular Facebook page posts, and they did this many years ago, they kept groups as this interactive place where there is organic reach, where you can reach people, where you can engage and things like that. And I think that's likely to continue. Facebook knows that their sticking point as a social media platform, the reason why people can't really leave Facebook, they find it difficult, is because of the community effect. They want to leave, but there's a group set up of people they used to go to school with, or the six-a-side football team they play for on a weekend. Those sorts of things stop people leaving. So I really don't think that those community aspects of Facebook, groups and stuff like that, are going to go away. I think that would be a big error on their part. So I'm pretty confident about a Facebook group, at least over the medium term. Longer term is hard to predict, but at least over the medium term, being here and being a valuable marketing asset to build. I'm still putting lots of resources into building my group. I think it's worth it, but we never know, especially long-term digital marketing, things can change. So before I get to the next question, I'll quickly let you know about a free webinar I've created called 3 Killer Facebook Ad Strategies to Double or More Your Revenue. And in this webinar, I break down 3 strategies that we use as an agency all the time. They're very much tried and tested. We've generated millions of dollars for our clients with each. And really, we focus on strategy in this webinar because if you don't have that bit right, nothing else about your Facebook ads is going to work. So if you're not 100% convinced on the strategy you're using, I'd strongly recommend you check out this webinar. It's completely free. Link is in the video description. I think you'd be glad you went through it. Okay, Jake asks, Facebook wants to combine my audience to reduce audience fragmentation. Not heard of this before. What's your advice, please? So if you follow my recommended campaign structure, where you've got, say, 4 or 5 different ad sets within one campaign, and each one of those ad sets is targeting a different audience, you will often see an error pop up, a warning pop up from Facebook saying you've got audience fragmentation. And what they're trying to convince you to do is to combine those audiences into one ad set. And I think the trade-off here is the data that you get, the learnings that you can take from your campaign, and over the time frame. I'll explain a little bit what I mean. So if you follow Facebook's advice and combine everything, you are likely to get better results in those first few weeks. And Meta really want you to get good results over those first few weeks, because then you're going to stick around as an advertiser, you're going to scale your budgets, all things that Meta wants. However, if you keep all those audiences separate, some of them aren't going to perform as well as others. And what I like to be able to see is, aha, out of these 5 ad sets we've got, 2 are doing well, 3 are doing not so well. Let's pause the 3 underperformers and just focus on the 2 best ones. And what I found is that over time, that's going to deliver better results, because yes, you might not have as good a time of it in that first month, but month 2 and onwards, you know, don't worry about those people. Let's just target these really good audiences. Whereas if you go with what Facebook recommends and bundle them all in together, you're just going to get a blended average result. You're not going to know which targeting options produce the best results, and you're just going to have to keep targeting those people on an ongoing basis. So that's why I like to do that. If you wanted to combine things together, just go with, say, 1 ad set. I don't think that's the end of the world if you take that advice, but it's just not what I want to do, because I think that knowledge and that data is more powerful over the long run. So this is obviously a bit of a different video format for me. If you enjoyed it, if you found it useful, please go ahead and subscribe and comment below to let me know. And as you've been through this video, I'm assuming you're interested in the latest tips, tricks, techniques to do with Facebook ads. If that's the case, I'd strongly recommend you check out this video. In it, I share the new stuff that we're doing for 2023.